All right, we are up and running. What's up, social media? How are y'all doing? I am Chemistry.
My name is Queena.
Yes, and this is the Life We Chose podcast. If you guys are tuning in from YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. If you are listening on your favorite audio platform, be sure to give us a rating.
Yeah, 5 stars in particular.
Check out if you've checked out the episodes so far. If you're listening to this one and you seeing value in it, definitely give us a 5-star rating. Your ratings help us spread the message.
It does.
You know? And I think that we're talking about some pretty dope things in here.
Yeah, we can get this podcast out much further, you know. And we got to start off just because, you know, retention rate after, the way that the minds be working now. So we got to immediately start off. Hey, everybody, make sure you're sharing and subscribing in case no one's ever told you to do that before.
Yeah.
You should probably follow that very same scenario here.
We appreciate you guys being here. We got another really, really dope topic today.
Yeah.
I think this one is pretty interesting, pretty personal for me, especially in this time right now as we're going through so many shifts. I know you have some things in your life as well. But we're talking about the concept of changing your mind.
Yeah.
Changing your mind in front of the world, changing your mind in front of your peers, in front of your parents, family members, just being in this space of switching from one idea and one thing that you're doing to going in a different direction, and how you kind of sort of navigate that switch, that change, you know?
Yeah.
So do you want to talk a little bit about your path, or should I kick it off, or how you want to do it?
I mean, I think that I would like to asterisk something by saying that sometimes I feel like people call the changing your mind a pivot. So if you're somebody who's like in this point where you're in the phase of the pivot, like where you've had to like go from one thing to another, this is the episode for you.
Okay. All right. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, changing your mind. I think in my world, I like the idea of pivot, but in my world, I think that I kind of went from a space of or to a space of and.
Talk about it.
And that also combines the idea of going from identity based living to value based living. So we've identified as artists majority of our lives, you know. Anywhere I go, like, I am Chemistry, the music artist. I am Chemistry, the filmmaker. Like, these things are wholeheartedly a part of my identity and how I move about the world and where I feel my purpose lies and all of these different things. So I feel like I got into a weird space these past couple of months where I had to start to understand what that means for me and whether or not it's a healthy way to identify in this world. As we talk about that journey in the past of, you know, having the great client and then losing that, being in this journey of the 100 song challenge and then burning out, it wound up coming into a space where it was like everything that I identified with in terms of like sense of identity, sense of purpose fell apart.
Yeah, and it was, you were identifying with things that you do.
Yes.
Okay.
The thing that I did is no longer satisfying the idea of who I am, and now there's this sense of purpose lost. There's this sense of value that disappeared because I was only leading through that one space. And I think that there was something that was the main trigger, and I didn't quite understand it, but it forced me into a position where I had to start living out my life in other areas of my life. So yeah, there's this space of me being an artist, but then there's also this space of, you know, me being a member of my family. There's a space of me being a wife. There's a space of me being someone who's interested in education and, you know, pursuing knowledge. And there's all these different sectors that I was they existed, but I wasn't using them in a space of understanding me as being valuable.
Do you feel like you were neglecting those parts of your spaces and focusing on other parts more?
So for a brief period of time, yes. I think that I was forced into a stop. I think that, you know, losing the client and burning out with music, it literally was a physical halt.
Yeah.
Like God was like, no.
Yeah.
Sit and figure it out. And it wasn't until I kind of dived into the world of, you know, okay, let me go back to books. Let me go back to sitting outside, having conversations with God, and being in park spaces and just taking my time. Let me go back to having sharing space with family members and friends who feed and pour into me, and I can do the same. And then like I just felt through that journey, I was kind of coming back to myself. And as I poured in and I got back to myself, it was like, oh, it's interesting. I didn't use music this time to feed my ego or build that up. I didn't use filmmaking to, verify my worth. But I still didn't quite understand it. So I was like, I was trying to still in this place where I didn't know how to articulate it, but now I feel like I'm in a space where I'm looking at things beyond just being an artist.
Yeah.
So I shifted into, now being at that job that I had that was just a temporary thing. It was like, okay, now I'm ready to look for something that might actually be of interest to me. And that ranged from anything in the field of art to anything completely opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wound up coming across like a position in an insurance agency, and I was walking in. I just dropped off my resume. Wanted to speak to the head agent there. She wasn't there at the time, but I spoke to the coworkers and things like that. We had a good conversation, and I remember leaving there feeling like kind of questioning a little bit, like, is it possible that I could enjoy a space that isn't art?
Yeah.
But it felt weird because it's not this sexy job. So I wound up having setting up an interview with the agent, and then going into the interview and speaking with her, and just her listing these different things about the company and how she runs it. And it's kind of unorthodox when you think about the context of a corporate job, but like it was appealing in some ways.
What? You out here?
It was strange, right? It was so my brain is like initially in that, like, she's saying things I like, I'm interested, I want to make the switch, but I was very like, yes, okay, no, I don't have any questions, okay, whatever. But like, and so in that, I walked out of the interview and I was like, I felt really interested in the job, but I also feel like I bombed the interview because I'm like, what are you doing right now? Like, that didn't make any sense. I was in this space where I was trying to understand, the last thing on my resume being filmmaking, digital marketing, trying to explain that to her and how I ended up here, and then just trying to get past that and, hey, well, can I start? So ultimately, she messages me back and she's like, we went with somebody else.
Yeah.
But,
so it did.
Yeah,
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, but I do have someone in my network who is also hiring, and I sent him your resume, and he's very interested in speaking with you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all right. That's cool. Like, she didn't have to do that, but that was interesting that she did.
You didn't do that bad.
Yeah. Couldn't have been that trash.
Yeah.
So you ain't
unless
gonna put me in
you
your
don't like
network.
him.
Oh yeah, that would have been.
Yeah, it's like, I don't like this dude, but hey.
I feel like in context, I don't know if that was it, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, when I walked away from that first interview, one of the questions that she asked me in her interview that I thought was really interesting was, what are your values? And I realized that I never really thought about that when it came to jobs that exist outside of art, not even in art, I would say primarily. I like coming at a job from the perspective of, what are your values, and is this job in alignment with what makes you happy, what makes you feel fulfilled, what makes you feel peace in your life, your whole life.
Yeah.
And so I thought about that this time, and going into the next job, I was like, you know what? If I do this, I'm not going to do it just because I need a check. I need to do it and feel like I can exist in a space and feel happy, whether I'm doing art or I'm doing this other thing for this time being. And so, like, when she asked me that question, I said family, creativity, and financial literacy. So when I think about the questions that I'm asking in this new job interview, it's like, all right, when it comes to family, what does that mean in this space of this world?
Yeah.
That means You know, what is your work culture like? How often am I doing overtime? Do you request that from us all the time? Am I bringing work home with me? I
Yeah.
don't like that, you know? And when it comes to creativity, is this a space where I can exercise critical thinking? Because, you know, creativity at the end of the day isn't just art. You know, the way that we define art, we know creativity as taking nothing and turning it into something.
Yeah.
And so can I use and exercise critical thinking in a way that is expressive to me in this space? And then, you know, financial literacy, is this place providing me the income to be able to expand as a person, as an individual in my financial world? Can I start to invest? Can I start to save for future me in this way? And are you checking all the boxes in these different areas? If you aren't, are there ways that we can negotiate to kind of have that conversation? And I really went into it from the perspective of like, it's not about the yes or no to the job right now. It's about, are you checking my boxes, and are you going to be good to being a part of my life as a whole, you know? And so when I really think about the concept of changing my mind, it was really weird for me to kind of look at that, because for one, when I talk to anybody who knows me or who knows what I've been doing thus far, it's like, well, how did you go from this to that? You know, because we identify so strongly with the one particular aspect of our lives. And it's never even a question in someone's mind that it's an and. Like, I can do this and still do art and still pursue that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it isn't these different sections. It's always just this idea of, oh, you chose that over this, you know? But when I think about life from the perspective of a more value-based angle, I think of, you know, this section of my life being my arm, you know, and art for me being this arm, and you know, my family life being my leg. And if I am moving in all these different sections of my life and feeling balance in my values in terms of family, in terms of financial literacy, education, travel, all of the different things that I truly value, then I'm moving in purpose. And I'm not putting all the pressure on this one arm to carry
the whole body
through. Like, I'm dragging my body, being an artist, trying to prove to the world that I'm moving in purpose. Yeah. When in reality, all of these things in a balanced way can kind of build you up and lift you up into a place where you can use all of them to function in a way that's purposeful in terms of your life. Yeah. Yeah.
So is it like, I'm curious, when you talk about changing your mind, are you in reference like specifically to how art shows up? And then how and what replaces it?
So I don't think that there's anything replacing it. I think that what I'm replacing right now is the ideology of understanding, you know, from what perspective am I living my life? Where it was once, you know, art was this large pie, and family and all of these other things were small slices that were a part of my life, but I didn't look at them from the perspective of like the thing that gives me life, the things that give me purpose. You know, when I talk about, you know, the burnout and losing the client and where my headspace was when all of that happened, I wasn't well. Like, I really just wasn't in a healthy space. And I think that it's because so much value and purpose was placed in this thing. So if you can take that thing away from me, it's a dangerous place for me, because I don't see my value in
all the other
being,
things.
And being all of these other aspects of myself. You know, it's always this or not, or you're valueless, or your purpose is gone. You know, it's not like this and that and this and that. And all of these things make you who you are and ultimately fulfill your goal. Because the goal for us ultimately is to be happy, to create the life that we want by doing the things that we want. And if I'm doing what I want, I have to exist in my values.
I think, like, in order for you to have gotten to that point where you said, like, yo, this is how I'm going to change my mind, it was recognizing what is the real goal. Yeah. Because we say to our, like, because if your goal is to say, like, I want to be successful, I want to be happy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then, like, I think that the problem is typically that we align being, you know, on tour or doing whatever
Yeah.
it is that we thought that would be success as an artist would be like, oh, I'm successful, I'm happy, I'm doing these things.
Yeah.
That's the qualification for it. So we don't meet that qualification, then it's over with. But then it's not success or happiness that you're desiring. You're desiring the tour. You're desiring these like accomplishments,
Yeah.
right? Which is fine, you know, but not the actual statement of like, I'm looking for happiness.
Yeah.
I'm not,
yeah.
you know what I mean? You're
And I
going
think
after that.
Yeah, that's really the confusion I think that we exist in right now, is that we think we're going after certain things, but we're really placing all the value on the tangible parts of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the root value of what I want from this thing, because I want to be happy, because I want to. It's
Yeah.
like you just live in the actual thing
Item.
itself.
Yeah. The accomplishment, the item, the material, the whatever it is.
And you can't. Your values aren't malleable in that way. You know, because you've strictly put the value on the tour. You didn't put the value on what the tour brings you.
Yeah.
You know, if it's happiness, then it's like, okay, what other ways in your life do you exist in happiness?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't receive this tour, how else can you survive and feel purposeful
Yeah.
and feel happy?
And also, by that logic, if you don't have those things, you're not happy.
Exactly.
So you're just in misery
Exactly.
until you
Exactly.
until you've acquired those things, and then it's
Exactly.
like, oh, okay, now we good now.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
another interesting thing that I think that we don't think about a lot when we think about you know, living our lives through our titles, through, you know, what do I call myself in this world, is the spectrum. You know, there's a spectrum that all types of jobs have, where, you know, it's not just so one-sided in, if you're an artist, you're great, and if you're an accountant or something, oh, your job sucks, your life sucks. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I've had plenty, and I speak from experience, I've had plenty of jobs as a filmmaker where I've done it for free.
Yeah.
And it was the most fulfilling thing
Yeah.
that I could have ever done. And then there were other times where I'm lugging luggage and carrying
Yeah.
lights, and I'm like,
is
I can't wait
heavy,
till
yeah.
this is over. It ain't even start yet. Oh my God, how many hours we gonna be here? And it's just like, that job just wasn't what I wanted, but
Yeah.
it had the title. And so when, you know, I think this happens to celebrities a lot. You know, people, if a celebrity goes out and says, oh, I'm a little sad today, or like, I feel off, you know, people be like, why you so off? Why you complaining? You got it good.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it's this space of like, yes, but like, you're looking at the title. You're looking at the
Yeah.
particular thing that you identify as my worth, my purpose, my value. You think I'm living in this, but there are a plethora of things that could
go
be
along with
going
that,
on,
yeah.
and you can be in purpose and out of purpose, even in your own title. So I think that, you know, that really affected the way that I thought about, you know, everything moving forward, and how I want to split the pie moving forward in my life.
And going after the things that you valued as opposed
Things
to
that I value, the root
title.
value. Does this align with my values? Is it, because that's the only way that I'll be fulfilled.
Yeah.
If I'm doing the work as a music artist and it aligns with my values, I'm more fulfilled than when I'm doing stuff that I don't. If I'm doing
Yeah.
it as a filmmaker, I'm more fulfilled than when I'm not. And same thing applies that if I'm doing this particular job for a source of income, can I have a situation where it's better than just dealing with the, you know, the idea of what this thing does look like to most people, you know?
That's rough. It's rough. That transition is so rough because I resonate with it, because so much of who I am was what I do.
Yeah.
You know? So especially if you're coming out and you're trying to make a name for yourself in whatever field you're in. You know, if I come out saying like, I want to be a rapper, I want to be an MC, you know, you got albums, you're doing performances, you whatever. And it's like people start to like identify you as that thing, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't know what other things are going on in your world. They only know how you present yourself.
Yeah.
And then for you to present yourself as one thing and then come back as another is difficult.
It's
It's extremely difficult, because that pivot is it does a few things, because it could be signaling to people that you don't really know who you are, you know? And it's like, then you kind of think because like you don't you question that.
Yeah.
And you think that other people can see that you are questioning that very same statement, right? Because it's like, if I, like, even going from I was, professional poet, that my identity was that I didn't work.
Yeah.
It's that I was going to make money off of my words.
Yeah.
But I was also at the same time working in marketing and social media and like design, and like there were times where it's like those were the focuses of my time and energy. And it felt like I was separating myself from the identity that I was telling the world. You know what I mean? Because it was like, oh wait, then I'm really fake, because I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not only doing this, I'm not what like, you know what I mean? And then people, they, and it's like, oh, you're not really doing it 100%. And it's like, no one's ever said that to me. It's like, no one's ever said to me that, like, they felt any way about like me changing from one thing to another. These are all internal conversations that
battles
I'm having.
In our own mind.
They're all battles I'm having. Right. And it's time for us to change it. It's time for us to change it. But changing your mind is extremely difficult, because it's reshaping a foundational truth. It's reshaping a foundational truth, and that's extremely hard, because you have to then take accountability for what was and what will be. And in that transition, right, of like, having that epiphany moment and trying to go from one end to another, you can feel some feelings that can mess you up a little bit.
Oh, a lot of it.
Right? So some feelings like, if you think to yourself that like, okay, well, if you're moving from one thing to another, there was a thought pattern that I had that I was like, this is wrong, this is right.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
Like, where it's like, oh no, I'm doing something, like, nah, this ain't right. And by saying to yourself that you need to do something different, you can subconsciously affect your feelings of shame, because you're telling yourself that whatever you were doing is wrong. And then you're gonna like, oh, did I waste my time doing that? Oh my God, like, people looking at me, like, this is the real way I should be going after it, whatever. And then I also have these other issues where it's like, I've done this so many times. Where I feel like I've changed my mind, or I've changed my direction, or I've like, done these things, and it may not have happened publicly. Right? I feel like some of them did, but maybe like they don't, everybody ain't watching me with like, a microscope or something like that. But it feels like I do it so many times, like, who am I really? The people are going to watch me have identity crisis. You know what I mean? They're not going, how are they going to see me as reliable when I don't really know who and what I do on a consistent basis? That's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable. So I'm like, all right, no. And I feel like that's like something that people hold on to, where it's like that resistance is going to make them hesitant to want to change. Like, it might be easier for me to stay the same. It might just be easier, because then I don't have to like reintroduce myself.
Or do any explaining.
I don't have to do any explaining.
You
know how many times people talk about rebranding themselves? You know what I mean? They only got 100 followers. And they're out here like, nah, I'm gonna take 3 months to like, because I need people to know I'm changing my name. Like, it'd be just, what? Come on, you know what I mean? But it's like, that's how hard it is. Because it's not just admitting it to yourself. It's admitting it to the world, but you're also like, you're the person who's ruminating with your own thoughts. And because of that, you're taking whatever those thoughts are and you're putting them out there, and you're hoping that people can see the picture that you're painting and not the other things that took you to get there. Not all the other things that took you to get there. Changing your mind is hard.
It's extremely hard. And I think it's really hard in front of people. It's really hard to your family, when you say you're going to do a thing and then you change that thing. And I think that, we've spoken about two sides of it, where one is like you're physically changing from one thing to the next, and then there's also mindset change. And I think that one of the most difficult things for me is, I feel like this is the first time I've actually even articulated in an organized form or fashion what I thought that change even was. But like having to try to articulate that to one of my parents or something, and say, who asked me, why are you going from this to that? To be able to try to make you understand that I'm not going from to, like, that I'm doing this and
Yeah.
and I'm re-identifying how they exist in my world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a really hard concept for people to grasp, especially when, you know, we spend so much of our time identifying ourselves, you know, one particular way. When you go out and you talk to people, what is the conversation? Oh, so what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? Nobody says, "Who are you?" No, so what do you do?
Yeah. I will.
I might start saying it and play, yo, how do you live?
Yeah. Who are you? How are you? What is you?
Yeah.
For anyone out there who's like preparing for a conversation
Yeah.
with someone who they love and they're about to explain to them, like, you know, something's changing. I mean, like, what advice would you give to somebody who, like, you know?
I think that it's really important to sit with it and try to identify what it is that you are feeling, that you are going through, to its root. One of the things that I'm learning as I go is that just because someone asks you a question doesn't mean you have to have the answer right then and there. And to be comfortable and okay with not having that answer. You know,
like, I don't know, but
like,
this feels
listen,
right.
I don't know, but I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah,
you know?
it's unfolding.
I think that was a very hard thing for me in trying to switch that mindset of not necessarily having an answer, because I didn't know how to articulate it. I didn't know what it was. It was like, I'm telling you at the end of it. Like,
so you don't have to have all the answers to change your mind.
Look at that.
Oh my God.
Look at that.
You don't have to have it all figured out.
Okay, to have.
I can just change it a little. It just
only some of it. That's all you need. Just a little bit of something. Yes, you do not need all the answers to change your mind. What advice would you give to anyone?
For anyone looking to change their mind, they're about to have that conversation, I would tell you to give whoever you're listening to grace. Because I realize that the real reason why people are going to question why you're changing your mind or have any adverse reaction is because they probably aren't allowed to change theirs. Like, it's usually like, it's like, because the thing is because of who we are. If we met anybody who wanted to pivot, or if they wanted to go from, or if they wanted to redistribute how they were moving, we understand it. We understand it. Because we're saying to ourselves, like, this is life. Like, things change. Your mind changes. Who you are changes. Your circumstances. Like, we know that things will change, right? But, like, there are a lot of people who are not allowed to. Because it's like, if you were to say my mind is one thing, and then, you know, I'm like, oh, I believe this. And then if you come back and be like, oh, I believe, oh, see, look at you. You don't even know what you believe. You don't know. Like, I thought you was. You said that you was. And they hold on. We know so many people that hold on to the old versions of ourselves. But the reason they do that is because they're not allowed to become the future versions of themselves. So one, you should probably identify the relationships that you have with this person, right? Just, you know, just look at it a little bit.
I think in some ways it should still be healthy.
It should still be a healthy dynamic, right? But you should give people grace, because anybody who understands will understand. You know what I mean? And it's like, if they've experienced that in some way, or even if they love you enough to say, like, whatever your path is, do it. You know, whatever's calling you, you know, just at its minimum, whatever's calling you to move a certain direction. But, like, you know, if anyone's holding you back in that way, where they're trying to, like, connect you to your past self, or they're questioning the decisions that you have, it's likely because they don't know where they're going, right? They haven't gotten grace, or, you know, there could be feelings of jealousy. Because it's like, you get to change. You get to, how you get to just, you're going to do what? You're going to be a rapper and an insurance agent? No. We're supposed to be grinding all night. And we're supposed to be, you know, you're supposed to be going on tour. We're supposed to be, you're not supposed to, that's not what they tell you to do.
Exactly.
That's not how it's supposed to go. And it's like, it breaks the rules. And, like, sometimes there are people who are following the rules so closely that, like, you know, they can't see what really makes them happy. And that would be my advice to anyone who's doing that. Like, it's not it's not necessarily about the thoughts that you're trying to relay, because, like, you change your mind now, you pivot now, it's fine. Because you're gonna do it. 100,000 more times. In fact, you should.
Yeah.
If you're not changing, we're not gonna make good friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
With Queena, I don't know, like, you know,
yeah,
if you're
it's
not
everybody,
changing,
but
if you're not changing or evolving, we're not gonna make good friends.
yeah.
But so that's
I'm looking for changes that compound and build up who I am, expand who I am at this point. All right, guys, as you know, we always have a dope book recommendation for you guys, and this one is nothing less. And I say that with so much confidence, never having read it before.
I haven't read it either.
Yeah, but I'm really excited about it. I think that it's in alignment with what this conversation was been about. It's called The Good Enough Job by Simone Stolzoff. And it's a book that really kind of does talk about that balance of like living in values as opposed to like living in title or understanding what that title really means for you. I can't wait to deep dive into it and really understand, you know, even more of what I'm feeling, you know, about this part of the journey.
How'd you find
right
that
now.
book?
I found it on a podcast, actually. Financial Feminist is a really dope podcast. But yeah, she interviewed him actually, and they had a conversation about this journey. She was talking a lot about, you know, just that idea of being in a space where you typically you would think she has everything, but now it's like, I don't know what my hobbies are. I don't know, you know, where I find happiness because my thing that I love has become my job. And it's not that it doesn't bring me joy, but like, how do I separate my identity from that sometimes?
Yeah.
You know? And so they had that conversation. I think it kind of touched upon some points in the book. What we had a conversation about kind of touched upon some points in the book. But I can't wait to deep dive into it. I hope you guys read it along with me. So yeah, The Good Enough Job.
The Good Enough Job.
Yeah.
I love books that have like really good like that by the title and be like,
yeah.
like it's good enough. I think it's crazy. Like I'm interested because of the title, because I was dealing with this this issue where I had the statement, good, like great is the enemy of good. And it was like I was having this issue about like trying to go after like things that are like perfect, or trying to get things right, or trying to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
That I wasn't, you know, doing what was good. This is the first thing that came to my mind when I think about good enough job.
Yeah.
I'm like, good enough?
Oh yeah.
I don't know what's
not,
good enough, because for me good enough is like, what?
Yeah. No, I said I know there's really something in that title that the book's gonna pull the nuggets from. But what were you saying?
Did you hear who narrated it?
No, I didn't.
You didn't
yet.
sample it?
I didn't yet.
I gotta sample it, because I was like, that's gonna make a difference.
No, dude, but I feel like it might be good if he self-narrated it.
If
I
he
think
did
I
it
could
himself,
read it.
okay,
I
okay,
think
because
I
you
could
heard
listen
him
to it.
talk on the
Yeah.
podcast. Okay, yeah, because if you heard him talk, I haven't heard him talk before.
Yeah.
But who narrates a book is important. So
that is very
yeah, I'm gonna sample
very
it.
True.
I'm gonna sample it. Good enough job.
Yeah.
As always, we want to take some time in the episode just to shout out somebody that inspired us, you know, just came to mind, or who's doing something really great and awesome. So shout out to Sean Crisis.
Yes.
So if you're, if you're not watching this, you should be watching this. But shout out to Sean Crisis. So we recently just went out kayaking together.
Nice.
Yeah, we went kayaking together. I was super excited. I've been bringing people kayaking with me as much as I can before the season.
Beautiful experience.
Yeah, before the season closes, and it was such a great conversation. And we talked so much about how our minds have changed, because we've been going through the art scene together. You know what I mean? He's been doing a lot of he's a rapper, so he was doing a lot of like performance and stuff like that, but that died down a lot. You know what I mean? But he also has like a master's degree. He was also like, he's hustling on the side. He owns his own business where he like thrifts clothes. Like he co-founded a business where he thrifts clothes. He's also a photographer. So it was like, it's like
so many layers.
There was so many layers to it. So it was like, it was really, again, somebody who, it's like, if I talk to him about being a poet and having a design studio, it makes sense. He understands.
Yeah.
He understands, because he knows that there's so much more to him than just the thing that he presents as. So shout out to Sean.
Yes.
Beautiful soul. If you're interested in seeing any of his, whether it's his words, because he's an incredible poet, incredible rapper, but he also does photography, a lot of landscape work and stuff like that.
Yes.
Street photography as well. He travels a lot too. He's like in Colombia recently, like some country.
Yeah.
He be out here
in the photos. Yeah,
he be out here
everywhere. Yeah,
he be out
Sean
here, you know what I'm
is
saying?
an amazing
But then he
guy.
also has his business, Above Average Threads, where he does a ton of thrifting and stuff like that. So
Amazing, dude.
yeah, I'm excited for the stuff that he got going on. But yeah, that's my shout out. My shout out is because, you know, I was really excited that he decided to come, because not a lot of folks who want to go kayak with me all the time, because they just like, you know, they're scared of the water. It is calm. It was beautiful. Thank you, Sean. Shout out to you. Here are your flowers.
All right, so we have come to the last segment of our show.
Yes.
We are at the 3 Bs.
The 3 Bs. You want to kick this one off?
Sure thing. So for the 3 Bs, number 1, for my brain, we are reading a book together. Hopefully, I'm reading a book together with you guys. The Good Enough Job.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm gonna read that one with you.
Yeah, I think that.
Well, let me not commit to it. I have to hear the sample. Gotta hear the narrator.
That is very true. That is very true.
Yeah.
But given that we do have a good narrator, I'm excited to check out the book and see what he has to say on this topic. I think a lot of people are in this space right now.
5
We're
hours.
feeling really in 5 hours.
You know, you got to look at the length of an audio book to determine if I'm gonna use the credit.
Really
I get 1 credit a month.
Audible.
Yeah, Audible.
Listen, we love you. We will support you forever until the end of time. All of
Yeah.
our audience members will always know to get their books from you.
Yes, and they can get a free 30-day trial in the
Free
in the
30-day
description
trial,
below. But like,
you know?
and if anyone's interested in donating, please also donate some books to us so that we can
more
keep
books. We want to share books.
Yeah.
You know? So,
I had to check real quick. I was like, 5 hours? Yeah.
My credit
He's like, is that it? But yeah, if that sample's worth it. But all right.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do the reading the book.
So reading the book for the brain. For the body, we're continuing with the exercise, because we know if
Mm-hmm.
you keep repeating these actions over time,
Yeah.
these things will make changes.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. We're gonna continue working out. And then for the business, still focused on the pod, and we are exploring obviously other aspects of our lives as well. So I will be probably taking some coursework. Taking some coursework to get this license, and yeah, that's what I'm really focused on right now.
Yeah. All right, cool. So for my 3 Bs, I started doing Toastmasters.
Okay.
All right, because I'm trying to kind of just be in the energy of just being with people I've never seen before.
Nice.
A lot more networking.
Love it.
Just because, just facing the fear of imposter syndrome.
Okay.
So that's the thing that I'm gonna do to help my brain out. Right?
Beautiful.
For my body, I'm interested in meditating. I don't feel like I meditate enough,
Yeah.
but I mean it to be like quiet, nothing, sit and listen. And I don't I do that in other ways, like when I'm kayaking or something like that.
Okay.
But like, I'm interested in trying to do that with like absolutely no stimulation. You know what I mean? Just sitting there
So
and
no
just
music,
being,
no candles,
no
no
nothing,
nothing.
just sitting there and just
Wow.
being in my flesh. So
I'm so interested.
yeah. So that's what I'm thinking about doing for my body, and then for the brand is podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, podcast, like doing the design work for the podcast and trying to figure out how we show up visually online. And then kind of finding more ways that like we can market,
Yeah.
because I think that we're also getting to this point where we have to like it's one thing to make the podcast,
Yes.
but then it's another to like we show up in the world as the podcast.
Yes.
And
yes,
then
to
we're
move
figuring
in that
out-
space.
Because I'm changing my world, like we're changing ourselves in real time.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, we're changing
y'all are
ourselves in
watching
real
it
time.
happen.
Because we're going out as like now it's like, if you went out to a show, it'd be like, oh, this is chemistry, she about to perform, she about to do this. If I went to a show, it's Queen of Bergen, professional poet doing this. Then if we're together, we're walking in and we're like, we're the life we chose. We're a
Yeah.
podcast that helps artists do these things.
Exactly.
Like we're learning our elevator pitch and our thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of structure
Oh yeah.
that we're
yeah,
trying to
there's-
develop
there's
behind the
very,
scenes. And we know that like once we kind of get to a point where we recognize like what we are and we're able to articulate it, we're going to be able to push this podcast much further
way further
than we can
yeah.
even imagine where it can go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
and I think a large part of that also is making sure that we provide you guys, with the best content available, the best content possible, and continuing to grow ourselves and structure ourselves brings better episodes to you guys. So yeah, it's taking this seriously and really doubling down on what it means to own this space.
Yeah. I want you to know that we are not ominous beings.
Yeah.
You know, like, please DM us and just send us, like, you know, maybe situations that you're going through, questions that you may have, just so
Yeah.
that we can kind of just, you know, throw those thoughts around.
Yeah.
Because the best way for you to change your mind is to allow a new thought to enter it. That's how we do it. That's because if you just cycle whatever you got going on in your head, you live
Yeah.
in your own ecosystem, you're not going to be able to make a change.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can't possibly think of another perspective, you know? There was actually this idea that, like, if your face is up against a wall and the wall is as big as your face, you're never going to know a way around it. So if you want a way around, you have to get somebody else who's not looking at the wall, right? Because that's usually how problems are.
Yeah.
And it's like the way that we think our problems are is that, like, if I haven't figured out a solution to it yet, it can't be solved so easily.
Yeah.
It can't. You know how many times I've been like, you know, we talk to each other, I'd be like, yo, I can't believe that this is gonna happen, and you be just like, maybe you should just move it to the left. And I'd be like, what? To the left? Hold on. Walk from around the wall.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Look at that.
All this option.
Oh, this option.
Wow.
We want some new thoughts.
Yeah, we need new thoughts.
We need new thoughts. Send us a DM. Send us a message. Comment. Whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
for
whatever
sure.
form of communication, because we're going to check it all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're checking it all. Comments, DM, you know what I mean? The
Emails,
tags,
all of it.
emails,
Yeah.
you know, pigeon with a note tied to its foot. Whatever you need to do to send the signal, we got
Yes.
you, because, like, we're trying our hardest
Yes.
to listen and to do things differently, change patterns. So
to feed and pour into you guys, build this community, build this tribe. So if you're feeling like you're in a space where you don't have an environment of people and individuals that can listen to this and give you and feed you the way that you need to be fed, we're here and
Yeah.
we're open.
here to chef it up.
We are open.
We're here to chef it up because, you know, we want to make decisions that brings us closer to the life that we want.
Yes.
Because we know that whatever we do, this is the life we chose.
Yes.
And it's like there's a confidence that comes with that. There's a sense of control that comes in that.
Yes.
And those are feelings that are priceless. Priceless.
Yes.
So.
Well, listen, we are 39 minutes in.
Yeah.
A little bit longer than usual, but I just feel like it was such a great episode.
Yeah.
We gave them a lot of energy. Like we said, comment below. Listen, Life We Chose podcast. We love y'all. We out.
Peace.
Yeah, this is the life that we chose. All about goals, all about getting the go. Pedal to metal, we drove. Head to the heels, I wanna get me a bow. 2020 be the vision, depicted the growth. Before I could get on the road, look at the level she rose. Cheddar, 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 check me out.